Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Royal Nerd Gaming. I am your host, the Royal Nerd, and with Season 10 of Apex Legends fast approaching, I thought now would be a good time to revisit my buff/rework series, where I run through some ideas on how to improve and modify the legends. I've done videos like this for Mirage and Octane when he wasn't as strong, and today's candidate is none other than Wattson. Now, recently, Wattson has been the center of a lot of controversy regarding potential buffs and nerfs. On one hand, Respawn's data seems to indicate that her win rate is exceptionally high, hence why a nerf might be in order. On the other hand, the community feels that Wattson isn't that good, and so only the absolutely dedicated Wattson mains play her, hence why her win rate seems inflated. The people winning with her are those who are very good and experienced with her, so maybe a buff is in order instead to make her more appealing to the majority? It's all very hard to say. And before I get into discussing how I think Wattson could be reworked, I want to discuss why she isn't a more popular pick, despite her supposedly strong kit, because I think understanding that is a key part of identifying what the next step should be with her. The problem with Wattson isn't necessarily that she's too powerful or not powerful enough. The problem is that she isn't that fun to play. Now don't get me wrong, you can definitely have fun playing Wattson, especially if you play her defensively, the way she's meant to be played. But the majority of players don't want to play like that, and as such, she falls out of the meta. You see, Wattson's kit is entirely reactive. In order for any of her abilities to be used properly, an enemy must make the first move. Her fences only do anything if someone walks through them. Her ultimate only matters if someone is attacking you. Even her passive shield regen is only useful if she's taken damage already. For Octane, having his health passively regenerate makes sense, because he's constantly sacrificing part of his health to use his stim. But Wattson isn't sacrificing part of her shields or anything. Generally speaking, your shields are only going to be damaged if you're in a fight, and her shields don't regenerate while taking damage, so the ability isn't doing anything for you in that circumstance. The only time it's going to have a real effect is in between fights or after a fight, and even then, it's so slow that it's basically negligible. Almost every other character in the game has a way to make the first move, either with their tactical or ultimate ability. Mobility characters can rush opponents, Bloodhound can scan, Crypto can send in the drone with an EMP, Mirage can dive into the middle of a fight and activate Dance Party. Even the other defensive legends have better options. Gibby's Airstrike, Caustic's Gas Grenade, Rampart's Walls are especially good in concept because they can be used both defensively and offensively. In practice, they do still need a little work. Anyway, the only legends that don't have these kind of initiation abilities are the support legends, Lifeline and Loba. And at least in their case, they offer the team something else. Loba gives you access to otherwise inaccessible loot, plus has her bracelet for some mobility. Lifeline can call in her care package and get you guaranteed upgrades, plus the fact that she can revive with her drone. But Wattson doesn't offer you anything you don't already have. So how can we fix that? Well, let's start with her passive, Spark of Genius. This is one of those passives that is actually like 3 different passives rolled into one. Basically, ultimate accelerants fully charge Wattson's ultimate ability, and she can carry 2 ultimate accelerants per inventory slot. Also, Wattson recharges shields at a rate of 1 shield every 2 seconds, after not taking damage for 6 seconds. Like I said before, I don't find the shield regen to be particularly useful. Now, maybe that's just me, but if you were going to buff Wattson, her shield regen would definitely be a good place to start. Make it so that it recharges a little faster. I know that some people would even like to see it go as fast as Octane's health regen. Either that, or, if you were going to nerf her, take the shield regen away completely, so that you can justify giving her more power in other areas. For example, Wattson is one of the only characters in the game with a unique revive animation. Instead of the normal syringe to the chest, she uses her hands like a defibrillator. Defibrillator. Instead of the normal syringe to the chest, she uses her hands like a defibrillator. Very cool. And what does this special revive animation do? Absolutely nothing. Which I've always found rather odd. So, a little buff that would give her more potential would be to make it so that she revives teammates with a bar of shields. She's all about restoring shields, so why not let her do that for her team when she's reviving them, and make use of that custom animation? A bar of shields can be the difference between your teammate having to hide away and heal, or being able to get right back into the fight. Plus, it could stack with a golden backpack and let Wattson really lean into her defense/support role. It would give her more use mid-combat than the shield regen because, again, that usually isn't coming into play mid-combat. Now let's talk about perimeter security, better known as Watson's fences. You create electrified fences by connecting nodes. If an enemy crosses your fence, they will be damaged and slowed. This is where I think the most work needs to be done. The thing about Watson's fences is they can feel like a chore, and that can make playing Watson feel like a chore. You have to strategize where the best spot to set up your fences are. You have to go through the process of setting them up. You have to play around the fences once they are set up if you want them to be useful. It's just so many steps to get to the fun part, which is electrocuting people. No other character requires so much work to get to the fun part. The closest you can compare it to is Crypto, and he's another legend who has a relatively low pick rate. You see the pattern here? The other defensive legends also require setup, sure, but they can do it so much easier. Gibby Dome Shield? 1 button. Caustic Gas Trap? 1 click. Rampart's Walls? 2 clicks to activate the ability and then choose where to put it, but at least you can then use it immediately to shoot through. But Watson? Click to activate, then click to place the first node, and then another click to place the second, just to get 1 fence. And then, there's no guarantee that the fence will ever be crossed. So I've thought up a few key ways that you could change Watson's fences. Option 1. Make them invulnerable to bullets. Currently, each fence node has 25 health. A couple bullets and boom, it's gone. That is so frustrating when it takes all that work to set them up in the first place. You could be running from enemies, stop to quickly deploy a fence, and then keep running, but the time it will take them to destroy it is so insignificant that they'll probably still catch you. They only have to break 1 node when you had to take the time to deploy 2. Not to mention that the damage you take from a fence isn't even that much to the point that most people are willing to charge right through one. So if the damage is going to be that low, and the setup is so essential to the fences working, make them so that you can't break them by shooting them. People would have to choose to get electrocuted a lot more, which is what we want. We want to feel like we're doing something by playing Watson. And the fences would still have counters like Caustic's Gas, Crypto's EMPs, grenades maybe, but currently any gun in the game is a counter to Watson's fence, and that sucks. Option 2. Make them explode when they break. If we're going to leave it so that the fences can be shot to be broken, at least make it so that they explode into electric sparks or something that can do minimal damage to whoever is nearby. You can shoot Caustic's Gas Traps to disable them, but if you do it wrong, they activate anyway. Do something similar for Watson. The electric effect wouldn't last like Caustic's Gas does, so I don't think it's unreasonable to make it so that shooting them guarantees a little electric explosion. Just something to reward Watson's work. Option 3. Increase the damage and/or effectiveness of the fences. Now, I don't love this option, and I know Respawn doesn't either, but you could increase the power of the fences directly. Make them do more damage or stun people longer. Make them a proper deterrent. Enemies shouldn't feel like they can cross them with little to no repercussions. The fences should make an enemy consider whether or not it's worth taking the damage. Again, I don't love this option. Abilities that do direct damage to your shields and health are scary enough, but I did want to throw it out there. Alright, moving on to option 4. Make Watson's fence nodes work independently. This one is my favorite, I think, but also would take the most work, so is probably the most unlikely. Let me explain. What if you didn't have to place 2 fence nodes for Watson's tactical to be useful? What if you could get away with only placing 1? I know that sounds like a lot, but hear me out. Watson would place 1 fence node, and it would immediately start to extend, even without a second node to connect to. Once extended, the post would start sparking, electrocuting any enemies nearby, doing minor damage and stun effect. But without another fence post to attach to, the node would be faulty, the circuit would be incomplete, and after a few seconds, if Watson doesn't attach another one, it breaks. I feel like this would open the door to so many possibilities. Watsons would be able to use their tactical just a little more aggressively. They could throw it on the ground while running from an enemy and not have to worry about connecting it. They could throw one down in the middle of a close-range fight, just for that little bit of an advantage. Hell, if you want to get really crazy, you could make it so that Watson could frisbee her fence nodes. Kind of like how Revenant Silence works, but not as far. Just so that you could chuck it a decent distance and have it extend in the middle of some enemies that are busy looting or something. And it would still have to take the time to extend, giving them time to react, but you would be able to use Watson's fences so much more frequently, and get so much more out of them. I know people also like leaving fence nodes on one side of a door, for example, and then connecting them to another when an enemy walks through. So you could even leave in the option to choose whether to deploy the fence nodes extended or not. In my mind, the basic button controls would work like this. Clicking the tactical button takes you into the same placement mode it does now. Difference is, a placed fence node defaults to extended, where it can damage enemies briefly before breaking. However, clicking it again will cause it to lower back down and leave it in standby if you are playing for more setup. Now, if you hold the tactical button, you pull out a fence node like a frisbee and prepare to throw it. A thrown fence node always extends automatically, but depending on how far you throw it, you can absolutely connect it to another node closer to you to create a full fence and prevent it from breaking. And yeah, that's how that would work. I think it's a really cool idea. Sure, it probably needs some tweaking, but I just feel like it would really make Wattson so much more appealing without making her too much more powerful, since her kit is, according to Respawn, already very good as it is. Finally, we come to Wattson's ultimate, Interception Pylon. You place an electrified pylon that destroys incoming ordnance, like grenades and airstrikes, and repairs your damaged shields. Plus, standing near the interception pylon boosts how fast Wattson's fences recharge. The interception pylon is very good. I honestly don't think it needs to be changed. It's useful, it's powerful in the right situations, but not so powerful that it's overly frustrating to fight against. I really think that this is the most solid part of Wattson's kit. But I'm not gonna leave you empty-handed, so let's speculate, shall we? How would we change the interception pylon? Well, currently, the pylon doesn't differentiate between friends and enemies, so it recharges the shields of everyone in the vicinity. If you wanted to buff Wattson, and I mean really buff Wattson, you could make it so that the pylon actually does damage to enemies in the vicinity instead. Just passively electrocuting anyone who gets too close. Would this be awesome? Yes. Would it absolutely be too powerful? Also yes. Just imagine Wattson's diving straight into a fight and dropping a pylon to electrocute everyone around. It would be a nightmare. A fun one, for sure. But, yeah, definitely a nightmare. And there you go. All my ideas for how to buff/rework/slightly nerf Wattson. In my opinion, Wattson does not need to be nerfed. I think a buff might be in order. I do agree with the community. But I can see how Respawn would be hesitant to do too much to a character that's already doing well in the data. So, a rework then. I think if you take a little bit of power away from her from other places, like the shield regen, which I really don't think is that useful, and then buff other aspects of her kit, she could be really good. Anyway, do you guys have your own ideas? Let me know in the comments. I've gotten a bunch of great suggestions on my Mirage buff/rework video, and I love discussing with you guys, so definitely comment your own ideas or any questions you have about mine down below. And let me know if there's another legend you want me to do this for in the future. Anyway, if you liked the video, maybe give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and come back for more. If you do, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching, and take care, everyone. Farewell.